I'm going to go over and join Ms. Akin Rebiyi, the new resident electoral commissioner in Lagos, because so many people have spoken up in Lagos about the status of their permanent voter cards. And thank you for joining us today, Mr. Rebiyi. Well, about these permanent voter cards, first thing they ask, give us the background. What is the current status now with the distribution of the PVCs in Lagos?
Okay, Lagos, as at the end of last year, we received 4 million permanent voters cards. Out of these 4 million, we were still expecting 600,000 from 2011 registration exercise, making 4.6 million from 2011 registration exercise. And out of this, as we speak today, out of the 4 million in our custody, 2.2 million have been collected so far, leaving us with 2 million out of the 4 million have been collected so far, leaving us with 1.8 million PVCs yet to be collected. Well, we are still expecting 600,000, as I said earlier, from 2011. In addition to this, people who registered late last year, about 1.39 million, also we're expecting those ones to come in. So by the time they come in, we should have total for Lagos State a little over 5.9 million, close to 6 million cards.
Okay, so what's the plan to, because I know that the Commission did announce, you could correct us if you're wrong, a decentralization of the collection process. Is that being complied with?
Oh yes, it's been done already. Since Friday, we've been able to move away from the 20 INEC local government offices to 245 collation centers across the state. As we speak, all these 245 centers across the state are up, and people have been going there to collect their cards. We're up from about 9 in the morning till about 6 in the evening every day, and Sunday to Sunday, I think 7 days a week.
7 days a week?
Yeah. We were there yesterday, we were there on Saturday. I personally went out to also supervise this.
Do you get complaints or people who say that, look, we've not been able to collect these cards for some reason or the other, because they write us time and again?
Yes, yes, we do. What I did, I was on a radio program on Friday in Lagos, so I released my number because I wanted to really have a feel of what people have been experiencing, and I've been inundated with quite a number of complaints, but happily we were able to take care of some of these complaints as well. Now, people who registered late last year, for instance, did not know that they need to wait for their own cards to arrive from Abuja. Their cards are yet to arrive, and they consider some of the people who have been going to these collection centers to also demand for their cards. But for those who have contacted us, we've been able to assure them that definitely their cards are on the way. They'll be able to collect. In addition to this, in last year, there were a number of areas where, although we went there to paste the list of those whose cards, whose names were on the register, yet their cards were not ready then. And so we didn't go there to distribute any cards, since we didn't have any cards to distribute anyway. Now, such people too are agitated, understandably, because they wonder whether they will never get these cards. They are part of the 600,000 cards we're still waiting for in Lagos. And I've assured those who got in touch with us that they shouldn't worry, their cards will come. Then in addition to this, there were people who, because they were busy, they never even showed up last year, either to go to the polling units to collect their cards or to ascertain whether their names were on the register. Such people later discovered that their names are not there, and they are now asking to be registered. And unfortunately, the registration exercise has long closed, because the Electoral Act mandates us to release the register of voters 30 days to the election, which we did on January 13, last week, Tuesday. So it is not possible for us again to open any registration exercise again in Lagos State and quite a number of other states across the Federation ahead of the February 14 and 28 elections. Then there were also people who have relocated, moved from one place to the other. They ought to ordinarily have also applied to us for transfers, but they didn't do that. Now, again, that window is closed because the register must indicate where you are at the moment. And since that register has been released, we cannot begin to move people around, whether within the state or from one state to another. So those are the critical issues that we are taking care of now as far as the issue of PVCs are concerned.
Okay, well, we'll take up some more of those because the first few minutes we had 24 questions for you. Now we've got 21 more questions coming through. But clearly, lots of questions for you. But how do you ensure that the burnout syndrome doesn't set in with members of your staff? If you say you're working round the clock, 7 days a week, because as the day for the election draws closer, you'll have to be doing a lot more than you're doing now.
You're right. What we've done is to also engage the services of ad hoc staff for this. They are mainly the ones on the field who are assisting us to do this distribution. Of course, we don't have enough staff to push onto all those 245 centers for distribution. So we engage the services of outsiders, ad hoc staff, to also assist us in this regard.
Okay, so if the registration stopped this month, it means that's November, December, people could still register. They could. Or they
did, yes.
Okay, because I've got a question from, his name is Ife Dayo. He says, for those of us that registered in November, when are we getting our PVC?
Your PVCs are on the way, Ife Dayo. Yeah, I was in touch with Abuja today, and we've been given the assurance that before the end of the month, these PVCs should arrive.
Okay. Any time frame as to when it will arrive?
We have two batches now. The remaining batch from 2011, that's 600,000, and then the new batch from last year.
Is there a deadline for when these cards can be collected?
By law, really, there isn't. There isn't. You can even, if it's possible, logistics-wise, you could even go and pick your card on the morning of an election and go and vote. But because we may not be able to handle that in terms of logistics, we're not going to do that. But I recall that last year, for the governorship election in Osun, the election took place on Saturday, August 9, and we still distributed till Tuesday, August 5, across the state, across Osun State. So we could still do that. 3-4 days to election, people can still pick their cards.
Okay, I see Danusi, Samuel, and many others saying, well, they registered in December. Can they use their temporary voter cards? How come people, they don't seem to have internalized the fact that INEC says, if you don't have your permanent voter cards, you won't vote?
Well, I can see, I can understand their thinking, because I know they just want to belong. They want to be sure that they are really also allowed to vote. But they should be reassured again that their cards will come.
Well, we've got a lucky chap here. Anthony Ogbeifun says he's been able to collect his permanent voter card. He's so delighted. He says, well done, INEC. But then Fable says, well, he's still wondering how he's going to be able to get his permanent voter cards. But we have a lot of such other questions coming through to us tonight. But don't worry, hang on. We will take as much of those questions as much as we can, because the resident electoral commissioner, Ms. Akinrebi, is here to respond to concerns that you have. Don't forget, keep them specifically simple while also continuing using those hashtags. But give us a moment, we'll be back. Welcome back to Nigeria 2015. It's time for the headlines with Amarachi Ubani.
Thanks a lot, Chamberlain. And now let's look at the headlines just a few hours after the federal government announced direct reduction in the pump price of petrol. Some service stations began to heed the directive. It was just last night, just a few hours before midnight, that the Minister of Petroleum Resources, Mrs. Dezani Alison Madueke, gave the directive to all service stations to reduce their pump price, and the reason given was due to the dwindling oil prices. Meanwhile, in politics, the People's Democratic Party has been reviewing its campaign in the southwest and the southeastern parts of the country, saying the rallies have been successful. A national publicity secretary of the party, Mr. Olisametu, told journalists in Abuja that the party is confident that its presidential candidates will win the 2015 elections. This comes as the PDP presidential campaign train begins its journey through the northern parts of the country. The PDP scribe also lauded the president for restricting the activities of the insurgents to the northeast. Also, the All Progressives Congress presidential candidate, General Muhammadu Buhari, has promised to stop corruption and invest in education and agriculture if voted into office. He made this promise when his campaign train stopped in Minna, the Niger state capital, where the party also received defectors from other political parties. We end with the story on the foreign scene. The EU policy chief, Federica Mogherini, has announced that countries in the European Union will be adopting a broader approach to fighting terrorism, even in Muslim countries. This was a call she made earlier at the ministerial summit in Brussels, scheduled